Welcome to This Week in Hell. I'm Professor Bond Ruggles with all of the things you're just dying to know. This week on This Week in Hell, we're going to turn our sights to the Civil War and specifically how New Orleans is involved in that. So, as you know, the Civil War came about because of the issue of enslavement. And if you look at the Confederate States' individual state constitutions, you will see that when they succeeded, they made it very clear in writing that their purpose for succeeding was to ensure the continuation of enslavement. There's been a lot of disputes over that, but it's pretty much black and white, if you will, written down for all of history and for the future people to understand. That is why the southern states succeeded. Now, Louisiana is a little bit of an oddball because you have New Orleans. New Orleans has a unique history. It was the place that those who are wealthy escaped to from South Carolina, from Tennessee, from Texas. It was almost like a resort town. It was the party town. It's kind of always been that. It was beautiful and warm and smelled like magnolia, as long as you weren't in the muddy streets where we dumped our chamber pots. But in 1862, New Orleans would be the first city to fall in the South to the Union. And I often make the joke when I'm doing a history tour that, sure, yeah, of course, the Confederates that were here were really disappointed. In fact, they set out and burnt all of the storage, the wool, the cotton, anything that we had stored up. They burnt the warehouses down so that the Union couldn't get a hold of them. But the other part of the city, they were like, oh, thank God, now we can just get back to our lives. And a lot of things happened during the Union occupation of New Orleans. For example, it became occupied by Benjamin Butler. Nobody liked Benjamin Butler. He was kind of a nasty dude, but he had to be. He's dealing with occupying the enemy territory, right? And so he had a problem with Confederate women, which often were very wealthy women whose husbands were away at war, on the battlefield, right? Somewhere else, not here in the city. And they were dumping chamber pots, which is our toilets, right, onto Union soldiers' heads. Benjamin Butler decided he would fight back by writing a new ordinance. And that ordinance basically said any women caught harassing, abusing, or threatening Union soldiers would be considered to be plying her trade. Now, that might seem really unfair to sex workers, but it was really a dig at these elite women, of course, who would never have been caught or even been in need of having to do sex work. And so basically what Butler did is he said, well, if you're crass like that, then you must be crass in all ways. And you must not actually be this elite woman, upper class woman. You must actually be a sex worker. People were absolutely infuriated by it, but it definitely stopped the abuse of the Union soldiers. Thank you so much for joining us this week on This Week in Hell. See you next time.